Welcome to Trauma Bay. Why do people still believe in things they cannot see, cannot prove, and cannot question? The short answer is fear and habit. But that's too easy. The truth is more complex and more uncomfortable. Religious belief at its core is not about truth. It's not about evidence. It's not even about morality. It's about control, identity, and emotional comfort. It survives because it gives people a framework to avoid the terror of uncertainty. And while that might seem harmless, the consequences of accepting irrationality as a virtue are far from innocent. Let's be clear. Irrational doesn't mean stupid. People who are highly intelligent can hold irrational beliefs. The mind doesn't operate solely on logic. It operates on emotion, fear, memory, and social pressure. Religious beliefs thrive in the parts of the mind that are vulnerable to suggestion, to repetition, to emotional need. That's why you can't argue someone out of religion with just logic. They didn't reason their way into it. They inherited it, absorbed it, or were afraid not to believe. And that's the first problem. Belief is treated as a virtue, not thinking, not questioning, but believing. The more improbable the belief, the more virtuous it's considered to accept it without doubt. What other area of life rewards you for refusing to question obvious contradictions? If someone said they believed their pet could speak fluent French, we'd ask for proof. If they said they were visited by aliens last night, we'd expect evidence. But say you believe a divine being lives in the sky, hears your thoughts, and cares whether you eat pork, and suddenly, you're spiritual. You're respected. That's not rational. That's cultural bias. And it's allowed because religion has carved out a special status where the rules of logic and evidence are suspended. It becomes offensive to question it, even when the beliefs themselves would be considered absurd in any other context. Let's take a simple example: prayer. Billions of people believe that speaking silently in their head can influence the outcome of real-world events. They pray for rain, for healing, for parking spaces, and when nothing changes, they don't question the belief. They reinterpret the failure. It's not God's will. There's a greater plan. No belief system that cannot be falsified is rational. If every outcome reinforces the belief, then the belief is protected from evidence. That's not a strength, it's a flaw. Now consider this. Every religion contradicts every other religion. They can't all be true. They don't even agree on the nature of God, the afterlife, morality, or creation. If you were born in Saudi Arabia, you're likely to be Muslim. In India, Hindu. In Italy, Catholic. Your eternal truth just happens to match your geography. That's not a coincidence. That's conditioning. Religious belief is not about personal discovery. It's about indoctrination. Children are taught to believe before they can think critically. They're told stories, praised for faith, warned against doubt. If you teach a child that a bearded man in the sky will punish them for disobedience, that fear becomes part of their psychological framework. And it's hard to unlearn fear. The psychological mechanism at play here is powerful. Cognitive dissonance. Once you build your life around a belief, it becomes painful to question it. So people double down. They reinterpret contradictions, avoid difficult questions, and surround themselves with like-minded believers. It becomes not just a belief, but an identity. Let's not forget the sheer volume of contradictions and absurdities in religious texts. Talking snakes, global floods, virgins giving birth, the sun standing still in the sky. Miracles are offered as explanations for things people didn't understand at the time. They're relics of a pre-scientific worldview, repackaged as divine truth. But we now have better tools to understand the universe: physics, biology, astronomy, neuroscience. Clinging to ancient myths in the face of modern knowledge isn't humble. It's dishonest. Take morality. People often say religion gives us a moral code, but that's false. Morality predates religion. Humans lived in cooperative groups long before anyone invented gods. We evolved empathy, fairness, and reciprocity because they were useful. And when you look at religious texts, the morality is often deeply flawed. Slavery is condoned. Women are treated as property. Violence is justified in the name of faith. If we used these books as literal moral guides today, we'd be living in a theocratic nightmare. In reality, we cherry-pick the parts that fit modern values and ignore the rest. That's not divine wisdom. It's selective reading. We already have the moral instinct. We're just using religion as a costume for it. Another irrational aspect is the idea of eternal reward or punishment based on belief alone. You're told that what you believe determines your fate after death, not what you do, not what kind of person you are, but whether you held the correct belief about an invisible being. That's not justice. That's intellectual blackmail. And it's used to control behavior. Be obedient, or suffer forever. Believe, or burn. That's not love. That's coercion. And it's not rational. No loving being would design such a system, but it's effective for controlling people. Fear is a powerful tool. Let's address the common defense. Religion gives people hope. But hope, based on false premises, is not strength. It's a crutch. And while people are free to believe whatever comforts them, society should not elevate those beliefs as sacred. When beliefs affect education, politics, law, and science, they are no longer private. They are public. And public ideas should be subject to scrutiny. Consider this. If someone claimed to cure cancer with crystals, we'd demand evidence. But if they say prayer cured them, we applaud their faith. That double standard is dangerous. It encourages magical thinking. It devalues critical inquiry. The irrationality doesn't stop with doctrine. It extends to behavior. Holy wars, religious discrimination, denying medical treatment because of faith, fighting over sacred land, opposing scientific discoveries, all fueled by beliefs that cannot be questioned. Even moderate religion, which avoids the extremism of fundamentalists, still upholds the core irrationality. It still teaches people to value faith over evidence, to see doubt as weakness, to base identity on ancient myths. That sets the stage for more harmful expressions of belief. Let's not pretend it's harmless. When irrational ideas are protected, they fester. And when billions of people believe things without evidence, it shapes the world in ways that affect us all, through policy, through education, through violence, and through the suppression of reason. Rationality doesn't mean we know everything. It means we accept the limits of what we know, and we build our understanding on evidence, not stories. It means being open to new ideas, but demanding they stand up to scrutiny. It means recognizing that belief without evidence isn't virtue, it's vulnerability. To move forward as a species, we have to let go of comforting illusions and face reality even when it's uncertain. The universe doesn't owe us answers or meaning or protection. But it does reward curiosity. It rewards honesty. It rewards the courage to ask hard questions. Religious beliefs are not special. They're just ideas. And like all ideas, they should be tested, challenged, and, when necessary, discarded. Because progress begins where superstition ends. And in the end, it's not about mocking belief. It's about reclaiming the right to think freely, to live without fear of invisible judgment, to grow without inherited chains. That's not just rational. It's liberating.